Good morning, beautiful. It's Bonnie. I have another word of the week for you this week, and that word is perseverance. It's one of my favorite words and my favorite concepts, and I think it's very underutilized. So what I want to do today is I want to share a story with you about how I learned the concept of perseverance, and I want to really inspire you to go out and look at something that you have that you're dealing with in your life where you can use this concept. So many years ago, I was on the road with Tony Robbins, and I was training for an Ironman triathlon. And it was like Keystone Cops. Every city I would get to, there wasn't a local swimming pool, or there would be snow outside. So it was a real challenge for me to train throughout that 6-month period. I would find myself in gyms at a hotel, from 5 in the morning till 8 in the morning when I had to go to work. And I had to do whatever it took to make that happen. Well, getting closer to the race day, the race was in New Zealand, so I flew over there, and there just so happened to be some sort of typhoon that had hit the island about a week before we got there. So even though I'd already persevered through all the challenges, the snowy conditions, everything that I had to go through for the 6 months to get up to that point, now all of a sudden the universe threw in this twist and this turn, as it often does. And so my boyfriend, Scott, at the time looked at me, and he just said, well, it's okay, you made it this far. And as we're looking at the waves, and there's about probably 3-foot swells, he just said, to be honest with you, most people won't even make it out of the water. So you should feel really good about yourself and just do the best you can. Well, that wasn't good enough for me. So I decided that no matter what, I was going to finish that race. And luckily, the morning of the race, we got down to the water, and it had calmed quite a bit, but it was still a very challenging situation. Then, after about an hour and a half into it, freezing cold waters, very rocky, it was time to go on the bike. And the bike was definitely my least trained for leg due to all the travel circumstances. And so we were both a little bit concerned if I was going to finish or not. And so throughout the day, we braved everything. We had about 25 mile-an-hour winds against us, so many challenges. But I was so happy to say that within that 8-hour period before they do the cutoff, I finished just a few minutes before. And now was the hard part. I now had to run a marathon. And by this point in my mind, I'd already committed. I'd already gone through everything that I had gone to up until that point, so I wasn't going to give up. But at the same time, I was very, very sick. I'd been out for about 9.5 hours at this point, and I literally had to run a marathon. And so the first hour and a half, I was so sick, I was throwing up in every bush, and I just didn't know how I was going to get through it, but I knew I was going to get through it. And so I'm happy to say about 5.5 hours later, I did finish that race, and it taught me a very valuable lesson of committing to something before you have that goal and before you're actually accomplishing it so that you don't give up. And so what I want you to do this week is I want you to look at your life, and I want you to look at some challenging situation. It may not be a race. It may be something with your career, with your relationship, or with your health. And I want you to ask, how can I use the concept of perseverance, and how can I get through this in ways that I didn't think was possible before? Because as I learned with the race, sometimes when it doesn't look like it's going to be possible, it's still possible if you persevere. So always remember, you are the one. Be your own best friend.